Hi guys, this is just a fast update that I didn't want mixed into my episode 2 video that I'm working on. Well, actually, my episode 2 video for my new series feels like it's getting so long that I might have to split it into 2 episodes and hopefully get them out pretty quickly. I've also got a list in my notes here of several short clip type videos, much like this one, that I should try to quickly make between working on my new numbered series here. They won't be numbered in the titles as part of my series because it's more miscellaneous type stuff that a few might want to see. It's always a toss-up as to what I should be most focusing on right now. We are actually at a very critical juncture in time, and I am on extreme high watch from this point forward. So I wanted to get some info out right here and right now. It's not new information to my channel, but it's just a heads up from all that I've been putting out since October 5th of last year. And people who've been keeping up with me will totally understand all this. I've already posted this stuff at my Patreon site too, with notes that I'll read right now. I've been trying to work on that website a little as time permits, but there's not much over there yet. I'm mostly working for YouTube right now. There is a free subscribe button over there where you'll see things like this, so you might want to surf over and check things out. If time permits, I'll try to create a few more timeline sort of pages, showing more of the signals on it, and perhaps some day counts out into the future too. My website is mostly a place where I can post a lot of documents and screenshots and notes and up to 100 hours of ad-free videos and no dealing with the YouTube algorithms. And if we are around much longer, it's a perfect space for me to start my video book. From John's final chapter, this is the 153-day count from the Revelation 15 sign, the menorah of the seven. The big wake-up call to the 7 churches in Turkey was on February 6th, 2023, and seal number 7. And 400 days later, all 7 got in line for the Revelation 15 sign, just as John described. Exactly 8 years and 8 chapters from the Revelation 7 sign, to the very date. And John spent 15 verses describing the Revelation 15 sign and the 40 days to fill the 7 vials of wrath. Exactly as it happened during the 40 days leading up to the April 8th eclipse, when the 7th and final vial was filled, exactly during the eclipse. And on John the Baptist's current birth date stardate as well, April 8th. I started putting out the warning signs of those 40 days leading up to the April 8th eclipse during December last year. And my basic timeline has not changed. The 7 vials of God's wrath really did get filled during the 40 days of Noah's flood of troubles on my timeline. And right now, we are all sitting in Revelation chapter 16, but it may not be long. I have not fully explained John's final chapter of his gospel in videos yet, other than showing the story of the spring equinox, and maybe mentioning that the nets or snares were cast while God's vials of wrath were being filled. But this is a possible significant day count, so I thought it was important to tell you at least what I'm seeing here. The 9th of Av is the day every year when the Jews fast and mourn over the destruction of both of their temples, a solemn observance of when God poured out his cup of the grapes of wrath on the temple in Jerusalem, twice. And Revelation chapter 16, verse 19, is when God is going to pour out the wrath of vial number 7. Vial number 7 to get filled with wrath, exactly during the April 8th eclipse, was Mars, the god of war. Revelation 16:19 reads, "And the great city was divided into 3 parts, and the cities of the nations fell. And great Babylon came in remembrance before God, to give unto her the cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath." Exactly how the first 2 temples were destroyed. War. However, if you can see what I'm showing here, Revelation 16, verse 15, is when we first find the red letters in the story of Revelation. There is nowhere in Revelation from chapter 4 to this verse in chapter 16 where we find any red letters. This is the verse when Jesus announces his arrival, that he comes as a thief. And blessed is he that watcheth and keepeth his garments, lest he walk naked, and they see his shame. So, how is anyone going to see someone else's shame? What is the shame here that is going to leave everyone naked? That every eye will simply be able to look upon and see. It is the shame of getting left behind. It's the shame that everyone will have to face when Jesus comes as a thief. And everyone will know what the judgments were in the end. There will be no more questions like what is running rampant right now. And what about all the politicians and people who've spent a lifetime as criminals, thinking they are going to get away with something because they have money and power? Well, there is a higher power that no one can escape, no matter what. There will soon come a day when there will be no ability for people to hide the judgments that God has laid against them. I think he's simply going to leave them behind. This verse here, it is the rapture point. The first verse in red letters, "Behold, I come as a thief." And I think we are getting really, really close to this point in John's book. I hope everyone is ready. I can't wait to walk through the gates of New Jerusalem, and I hope to see you there. There are things I'm trying to show people that can't be denied, just as you can't deny the April 8th eclipse and the marks those 3 eclipses left across the U.S., or the places where those marks entered and exited at the borders, or all the places that were darkened on those days, like the Salems and the Ninevehs. The menorah in the heavens was 7 days before the equinox, and perhaps 7 days to load God's spiritual ark. Back on March 16th, I posted a very short and fun video about the equinox and those 7 apostles fishing in the dark. I've got it posted on Patreon too, totally free, for some ad-free bonus content. A few of the important takeaways from that video is that Mercury was sitting on the band of Pisces the hours leading up to the equinox. Mercury probably represents John in the story, always being so closely tethered to Jesus as the most beloved, and the only one who recognized who Jesus was on the shore. Well, we know that none of them really recognized Jesus in the flesh that day, even as they dined with him. Verse 12, Jesus saith unto them, Come and dine. And none of the disciples durst ask him, Who art thou? Knowing that it was the Lord. And I think I've already talked about this, but another important takeaway from those 7 apostles fishing is that Venus represents the bride, or the church, much like Peter. And Venus dove into the waters of Aquarius, for real, the day after the equinox, March 21st, and crossed the line of the waters on March 22nd. So, if Mercury might represent John, then perhaps Peter would represent the church, or Venus. And we can see in Stellarium the date that Venus dove into the waters of Aquarius. And in the very next verse, when Peter dives in, John tells us that they are 200 cubits from shore. So I added 200 days to the date that Venus dove in. And oddly enough, it is Jesus' current birth date star date, October 7th. So what are the odds of that? From the very date that Venus dove into the waters of Aquarius in the heavens, and 200 days later marks Jesus' birthday. So mostly I just wanted to jump on and let everyone know about these day counts from the menorah formation. 7 days before the equinox. And that formation in the heavens was also 153 days before the 9th of Av this year. And I'm not feeling good about the 9th of Av at all right now. The first 2 temples that God poured out his cup of wrath upon were totally destroyed by war. I think the first temple was actually destroyed on the 7th of Av, and the second temple was destroyed on the 10th. However, the 9th day of the 5th month on the Jewish calendar is the day that the Jews always fast and mourn over the loss of both of their temples. And this menorah formation in the heavens, it's all about God's temple and those 7 spirits of God that the book of Revelation is all about. I pray everyone is having a super blessed weekend, and I'll be back as soon as possible.